Metaverse? Is it a new version of internet? Is it just a buzzword? Is it something that we absolutely all have to understand and adapt today?
So let me share with you a little bit of my background of how I got to this role I have now. Uh, Back in early 2000s, I started a fashion company with an American actor called John Malkovich. And John was the designer of this company. So his day job was being an actor. He also had a production company, and he was also a film director. He directed a movie called Dancer Upstairs with Javier Bardem right at the beginning of our relationship. And he loved doing sketches of clothing and give each one of those garments a name. And there was a role in this, right? There was a role on who was the person that would be wearing it, but also the role of the character itself. So we had very particular interested in. We had the Taliban coat, we have the nervous breakdown jacket, we had the something called the fucking commie sweater. It was crazy, right? It was like being in a movie. So how he saw fashion was each one of those garments was a character of a play, right? Then at the end of our relationship back in 2004, we were talking about the film distribution space, and he inspired me to start a company called Filmonics. Filmonics was the equivalent of today's YouTube, and we launched at the same time of YouTube in the beginning of 2005. Very successful venture. And then one day, NATO contacted me and asked me to actually distribute their content. I actually thought it was a spam. And the National Atlantic Treaty Organization handed over to us over 2,000 videos of their peacekeeping efforts. And I saw one day a video of a woman building a school in Afghanistan. So I reached out to her, and this was already 2011. So 5-6 years into this Filmonics project. The company was booming. We had 40 million uniques per month. We're doing very well. We had great independent films, and now we're starting to get into the peacekeeping/military space with this content. And I had the idea to build schools in Afghanistan. So I sponsored the construction of 13 classrooms and schools in Afghanistan, mostly west of Afghanistan. And right away, we saw one problem. The young women, because we're focused on sponsoring digital education for women, for girls, they didn't have a platform for themselves to monetize, right? So they could learn how to blog, they could learn how to make videos, but to get financial self-efficiency, they needed a platform. So we started building a platform called Bitlanders, and we started paying them in Bitcoin in 2013. Okay, so in 2013 we started that. I have here a book. It's called The Age of Cryptocurrency, written by two journalists, Paul Vigna from the Wall Street Journal and Michael Casey, still from the Wall Street Journal. Then eventually Michael will become, as it is now, an advisor to the MIT blockchain department, or let's say institution, and then also the chief editor for CoinDesk. Mm-hmm. So we started realizing that we did have the characters, we had the girls, we had the content, but we didn't have a platform, right? And I think that was a decision we did in 2013 to pay them in Bitcoin. It was a form of getting them financially self-efficient in what we thought was at that time the metaverse. Okay. Now there are social media platforms like Instagram, like Snapchat, Facebook, and a lot of this is all about likes and support from a media perspective. But it's very hard to monetize this content, right? Unless you get your separate and independent sponsorships, or you get a small percentage of what the YouTubers make with the traffic, right? So I think the new metaverse, it's a more active role where there is an economy that, it's more beneficiary to those who participate to the metaverse itself. So my journey was from collaborating with a visionary, that is John Malkovich, into how you can build a world of characters facing a problem that was a young women in Afghanistan. How do you make them financially self-efficient? And both those led into one thing, that if there was a platform that is today is called the metaverse, where all those people can basically transfer their souls and their creativity and their operation and their work, and also make it financially efficient for themselves, then that would be really almost like a replica of what we consider our regular normal life today. So that's a little bit my background and how I got into this space, right? It was more for social responsibility reasons than anything else.